It's obvious that Vivo really puts in the effort to put great cameras in their phones. With their X series, they have proved that they too deserve to be recognized for their camera capabilities. But having used the vivo V25e made me ask myself, do we still even need a flagship phone for its cameras? That's what we're going to find out in this review. At its rear, the vivo V25e has triple cameras. A 64 megapixel main shooter, a 2 megapixel bokeh camera, and a 2 megapixel macro. Seemingly average for a mid-range phone, but this is using a larger sensor on its main camera as compared to other budget phones, which contributes to better low-light capabilities and a cleaner overall image. Regardless of which time of day you shoot, there will be a difference on its output. Plus, something which isn't very common in lower mid-range phones, the V25e also has a built-in OIS, adding stability to handheld shots to improve photos at night. I guess we now know why Vivo calls this the Night Portrait Master. But the question is, do this actually make a difference? The answer to that is yes. With the main camera, the images are cleaner and colors seem close to accurate with just a few oversaturation at times, something which I think is caused by the internal processing done by its software. It also does get the correct exposure most of the time, which is great, but it does lean towards getting overexposed at times, so be ready to adjust your exposure slider to tone down the brightness. Also, because images are cleaner, there's now more room for cropping, making recomposing shots something I won't be afraid to do. And as expected, this did show its strength more when it comes to taking photos at night. I had the chance to take this out on a photo walk in a party and was surprised at how photos didn't have that much noise or blur. It still isn't perfect, with some takes still showing some noise, but after a few tries, you'll more likely end up with something you like. Considering that sometimes I did forget to turn on night mode, shots still turned out well with still relatively low noise. Not exactly at the same level of their X series, but definitely an improvement to their more affordable line. So here's a shot taken with the V25e's night mode along with the Y35s. One downside though was probably the lack of ultra-wide lens that they have on their other models like the V23 series. Some might not think that this is a major factor, but when taking photos of wide subjects, I often wish this had one. Now if you're fond of posting self-portraits in social media, you'll definitely be happy with the V25e. This has a 32 megapixel camera up front, which is a lot of megapixels for a selfie camera. Selfies taken with this look great. It actually isn't too different from photos taken with the rear camera. This means you can get away using this and not push yourself to only using the rear camera, and the quality will still look decent. As for the specs of the V25e, this is running on the MediaTek Helio G99 with 8GB of RAM plus 8GB of extended RAM. It also has a storage of 256GB, and powering this phone is a 4500 mAh battery that is paired with a 44W flash charge. So as for the performance, it is as we would expect from a mid-range, almost lag-free with little to no hiccups. Plus, the extended RAM also makes switching between apps something that the phone can handle easily. As for gaming, I was able to play Call of Duty Mobile at medium settings without any noticeable lags, and its 90Hz refresh rate also makes the gameplay feel smoother, and it actually feels super smooth. But do take note that it is capped at medium settings and other options aren't available. I also gave Asphalt 9 a try and was able to play it at max settings without any slowdowns. The Helio G99 is actually a very capable processor, so the performance we're getting really isn't surprising. As for Apex Legends, the vivo V25e also let us enjoy the game with everything maxed out, but I did have to turn down the FPS as I did feel that the body was getting too hot for my hands, but everything else felt really enjoyable. One thing that might limit the experience though is the lack of 5G connectivity. I didn't feel that this was hindering my usage as 4G LTE did feel enough for my use, but this factor definitely depends on the matter of preference. Speaking of preference, who wouldn't like this design on the vivo V25e? It features an anti-glare rear panel that has a matte finish that has sparkles on it. Vivo calls this their photochromic 2.0 technology that when it's hit with sunlight or UV rays, it gradually changes its color. The sunrise gold that we have turns to orange as if shifting its color from sunrise to sunset, which really does look amazing. I also like that this rear design makes it resistant to fingerprint smudges. It has some slight curves around its edges, plus it is slim and light, which makes it easy to hold. I also found it satisfying that its volume rocker and power button on the right side are both tactile and gives it actual clicky feel. One of the features I really like on the V25e is its 6.44-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED display. It produces very vivid colors and its viewing angles are good, which gives you an immersive experience. Also has a 90Hz refresh rate that contributes to fluid scrolling through different applications. A bit of a downside though is that this phone still has a dewdrop notch, which actually feels dated nowadays. I feel that it can be a bit intrusive when watching videos, plus at this price, I think this deserves a more modern display. As for its audio, the sound quality it produces is pretty loud and clear despite having just a mono speaker. Moving on to its battery, as mentioned earlier, this packs a 4,500 mAh battery and this can last you one full day of average use. I didn't do any battery endurance test, but on my actual use, I did find that there's not much difference comparing the experience with budget phones with a 5,000 mAh battery. This also comes with a 44-watt flash charger that can juice it up from 0 to 60% in just 30 minutes and can fully charge it in just 55 minutes, which is convenient and impressive. There is no doubt that the vivo V25e is a solid mid-range smartphone. This checks most of the right boxes for a mid-ranger, especially because of its very unique color-changing design, vivid display, and respectable performance. However, I think the cameras are what really would entice people to choose this as an option. And to answer a question in the beginning, I don't think this already belongs in the league of flagship cameras, but it does come close and surely is an upgrade from the budget line. I think this is a great fit for someone who doesn't want an expensive phone but still wants the capability to take great photos when needed. So camera lovers like myself will definitely enjoy this. Some people might not like that it lacks 5G capability, an ultra-wide lens, and having just a mono speaker. So if these factors are deal breakers for you, then you might want to check out their V25 and V25 Pro. Plus, I will post a link here to a recommended option, so feel free to check that out, and I'll see you on the next video.